everybody, Dawn Kendrick here with some good news. And the good news is that you're only going to hear good news here. I am a repurposed news reporter, and I am finally doing the stories that have been burning in my heart for so long. They're stories that uplift, encourage, and inspire, and they are real, and they're raw, and they're vulnerable. They're the good stuff stories, and we see it over and over again that through it all, through the middle of our biggest challenges, together we can, together we will. Let's go see the good and be the good. On your market set, let's go. Hey, good stuff, family. You know how much we celebrate here people who warrior through, people who end up being the best of the good stuff stories for having gone through the worst. And those are my champions. And today I get to introduce you to a cancer warrior. Her name is Emma Anderson. She is 29 now, but her journey started when she was 9 years old. So she's my hero in that she's a warrior. And the man who saved her life, oof, he's beloved by many. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to right now. Let's bring him in. Hello, Emma Anderson and Dr. Alan Cohen.
Hi.
Hi, Dawn. So let me say this. Emma is a warrior. She is my hero, and I'm really honored to be here representing the team who took care of her at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital 20 years ago. We saw her, it was in the middle of the night. She was really unresponsive. We got an MRI. It showed this big tumor in the center of her brain with hydrocephalus, or water on the brain. We put a ventricular drain in, a little tube as a safety valve to take some of the pressure off. And then a couple of days later, when she woke up, we did an operation where we went through the hemispheres of her brain, a craniotomy, and we went deep down into the center of the brain to unblock the ventricles and take the pressure off. And Emma woke up. And the tumor was a low-grade cancer. It was a grade 2 astrocytoma. It's one that we were able to take the pressure off her brain, but she needed further treatment for this. She needed chemotherapy. And it's just a remarkable story of what she's been able to do and what she's been able to come through with extraordinary strength from a little 9-year-old girl who's now a 29-year-old warrior that we're all really proud of.
And Emma, as you sit there and listen to all of this, this is clearly much more than a doctor for you. He sounds like a good friend. Tell me what you remember of that, what that's like being 9 years old, finding out that you have a brain tumor.
So Big Al here is my buddy. He's been my buddy since, the moment I came to the hospital, and he saved my life. Truthfully, the hospital in my hometown, my mother and I had a conversation years later, and she told me they basically told her that they didn't think I was going to make it. And I think coming to Rainbow was my parents, first realization that I wasn't going to die. I was going to survive. I don't remember a lot from the very beginning of it. I just remember, being in the hospital. I remember being terrified all the time. I remember going through treatment. A lot of that stuff, I think in a way I sort of blacked out, or not even blacked out, but I didn't really pay attention to a lot of it because Big Al made it so much fun going to the hospital. And even after 20 some years, I never stopped being his patient.
Developed an encephalitis, a viral encephalitis, one complication after another. And yet every Wednesday, she looked forward to coming to the hospital, not to get the chemotherapy, but because of those doctors who took care of her.
Okay, I need to say this. I know, Emma, you're dying to say this too. So all those doctors, sure, they get credit, but none of those doctors can say this. What is this, Emma?
My whole team of doctors is incredible. And all of them, I think the biggest thing is they had such a relationship. Most of my doctors I am still in contact with, and most of them still talk about Big Al. Big Al gave my neurologist the nickname Old Dr. Gold. I still torment her with that name to this day. And she still asks how Big Al's doing.
She wasn't that happy
about
the
in this picture.
But this picture that you have, I think shows a little bit about the healing power of humor. And Emma really played that to the hilt. This is what we would do on Elvis's birthday in Cleveland in the January 8th, when the skies were gray. We'd get the kids, the brain tumor kids together and do a karaoke celebration. we weren't really very good. We were actually going to give up doing it. And 1 week, Good Morning America called us and they told us we're going to do a story about you. And we said, don't bother to come because we've done this for years, but we're really not that good. They said, forget that. We'll be there in 2 weeks. And of course, I have no talent whatsoever. There's a lot of enthusiasm. But Emma was fearless. And brain surgery is one thing, but getting up on a stage is quite another. And Emma put on her leather jacket. She got the microphone and led the group in song and dance. And it's just a testimony to the healing power of humor that was really powerful in Emma's case.
Emma, you told me that you had two major brain operations, 2 rounds of experimental chemotherapy, numerous complications. And this is what you said. You had more important things to worry about, like practicing for the Elvis performance with Big Al down in his office.
Absolutely. I remember it being to the point where I would be getting chemotherapy and my mom would look at the doctors and be like, how much longer? Like, she's got to get down and start practicing for Elvis Day. Like, I remember I would come down, Big Al would be in surgery. Helen would be texting them, like paging them in the OR. Hey, you got to come down here and practice. I mean, I think that's truly what got me through everything was this. I feel like Rainbow and like Big Al and these doctors didn't feel like a normal hospital. They became my family. And I still have, like I said, the biggest things, I still have relationships with all of them today. And I never stopped being their patient. I mean, I don't look back at that time and think about all the treatment, the surgeries. And yes, there were a lot. Having cancer as a child is not fun. Going through chemo is not. All the complications. I got blood clots. I got viral encephalitis. I lost complete use of my left side. I had to go through therapy. Not only that, but like issues of being in middle school. I got bullied for having cancer, a lot of things. But all of that was not what I thought about. I look back and I think about all the good times. I think about Big Al doing magic. I think about Elvis Day. I think about the nicknames. I think about him getting all the doctors together and us like always just having fun. Him and Lil Walter on stage dancing and singing.
There's another story about the power of humor. Voltaire said that the art of medicine consists of entertaining the patient while nature cures the disease. But the power of humor really can't be overstated because this is a life-threatening illness. And sometimes the child, as is the case with Emma, gets the parents through the ordeal. And I remember at the time, I was teaching a course in neuroanatomy, which can be a pretty boring topic. And to try to get interest among the students, I wrote a song with all of the terms I thought you needed to know to become a brain surgeon, set to music to the tune of the Gilbert and Sullivan Pirates of Penzance.
Emma, can you give me a little sample?
The Teriana, Iniana, Uriana, Nasiana, Steriano, Pesiano, Biniana, Basiano, Formano Valley, Hypropsis, Propsis, and Corsa Piniali, the basal rosenthal factory tuberculum. The Teriana, Iniana, Uriana, Nasiana, Steriano,
Pesiano, Bilion, and Basion, and Brigma, Lambda, Clivus, Vomer, Foramino Valley, Hypophysis, Paraphysis, and Corpus Pineali, the basal vein of Rosenthal olfactory tuberculum, the torcular hierophili parietal operculum, and atrium ventriculi lemniscus lateralis. Forceps, major basis, pontitrigonucleus basalis. The Trojan Phagius and Thomas, the Pulvinar Peculius, Turbigimen, Calmus, and this Corus, and Fission, and the Cyrus, and Piculum, the Asfarina, Sansima, and Miculum. Vermicerebelli, Tractus opticus, and cochlea, the nucleus accumbens, sulcus singuli, and trochlea, the culmen declifolium, and archicerebellum, tuber pyramis, and uvula, and medullary velum, the vein of Galen, calcareous, splenium, habendula, tegmental decussation, unctocerebellar, frenula, the Devenus iris, resistania, choroidea, for raven arushantia, permassa, megaloidea, Radiculus and superior colliculus, the stria medullaris and the uncinate fasciculus, the cauda globus pallidus and claustrum and putamen, and phylum foramen, fornix, folks, and jugular foramen. These are the only ones of which the news has come to Rainbow. And there may be many others, but I can't recall their names, though.
It occurs to me that no one would know if that was correct except the guy sitting next to you who wrote it.
Trust me, everyone in my hometown, even I was taking my CD player into grocery stores. Anyone who would listen to hear that song, they knew it. My mom, my sister, like everyone to this day still can sing it. I played it probably dozens of times a day.
And y'all, this is a girl who at 9 years old, it's not too dramatic to say, whose life hung in the balance. And because this incredibly talented doctor who always wants no credit, you told me, Emma, he's the most humble person that you know. Let's see. I think your exact quote was, "You'll never find anyone more humble." And I know he wants to tell the story as you're the hero, but who is whose hero here, honestly?
Bayal is my hero. I would not be here today if it were not for him.
Listen, let's not overdo this, but I'll tell you another story I just remembered. And that is, as you can see, Em and I have become fairly close over the years. When she was 16 years old, having gone through cancer surgery, her mom had a sweet 16 birthday party for her. It was a surprise. It was about 30 miles from the hospital, and they invited me. And I was excited, but as luck would have it, on that day, I was stuck in the operating room until late. And so I didn't have directions. So I called my trusted assistant, Helen, from the OR. She gave me directions to the event, which was on something like Commonwealth Avenue, but she told me Commonwealth Street. And I raced to this place, getting out of the OR. And I was driving down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere thinking, this is an unusual place to put a restaurant. It must be really good food because there's nothing here. Finally, I realized that there was no restaurant there, and that I called Emma's mom, Julie, and she told me that I was in the wrong place, and she gave me directions to go to the right place. She had to stand outside in the middle of winter because it was still supposed to be a surprise for Emma. I got there about a half an hour late, and when I came in, there were about 40 people there, and Emma saw me and screamed, "Big Al," and ran across the room and jumped in my arms. And that's really one of the true joys of doing what I do, becoming a pediatric neurosurgeon, is because of people like this. She's a survivor, and I'm in awe of what she's been through.
And we should say that you were at Rainbow Babies and Children's for 17 years, but you're now the director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I did a little research on you, and we don't have enough time to list all of the awards you've been given in the papers that you've written and the people that you've spoken to all around the world. But yet these kids, now adults, love you, not just for saving their lives, but for being the friend that they needed. And I so wish we had more of that in healthcare, like the total person. And I just want to show one more thing here before we go to Emma's current awesome thing she's doing. What is this on the, did anyone happen? I noticed your sideburns first. And then what's the next thing I notice here? What are you wearing?
Oh, just my shirt with Big Al on it. I had it custom made for Elvis Day. And I had him autograph it.
She is a little bit crazy. That's
bit.
Undeniable.
I love it.
One final thing, though, that's quite remarkable about this is here's a 9-year-old girl who battled a brain tumor in the center of her head and a malignant tumor and chemotherapy, and she got through all that. And now she's given back as a cancer survivor, as an advocate for children with brain tumors and cancer. And she works as a student teacher and in the schools in Cleveland, in the city. And one of the things that's most difficult for her is these little kids doing drills where they have to turn the lights off and hide under their desks because of the concern about gun violence. And I don't know whether everybody's aware of this, but gun violence is now the #1 killer of children in the United States. It used to be disease and it used to be motor vehicles, but since 2020, gun violence is the #1 killer of children. And here's a girl who's a cancer survivor who stared cancer down and without blinking, and she's afraid of gun violence. And so she's giving back, but these are the priorities that we have to think about in the modern world.
And you, Emma, being a student teacher, it occurs to me now you're giving back. And it is like Dr. Cohen points out, it's a whole different world, it feels like. But here you are. These are some of your students. So now here again, here's this talented artist who we wouldn't even have known the talent that you have. There was so much still ahead for you that Dr. Cohen made possible, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, truly, you say that you're so grateful. And these are some of the works that you've done, correct? Or are these students?
Yes.
These are yours?
Yeah, I just had 2 recent exhibitions, both at 78th Street Studios at 11-2 Gallery.
So, I mean, come on. And then look at all these, how fun to work with these kids. And I see even Littlest Heroes you worked with.
I do. So it was right around the time of my not diagnosis, when I was going through the cancer scare. So like I said, my tumor is prone to regrowth, but I'm kind of on the lower end of that. And so I've been having all these years where I basically just had MRIs just as a precaution. They saw an unknown highlight on it. And that's where Big Al stepped in. And, he looked at my MRIs for me. But that period in time, it was right around time, especially of COVID too. And during that time, I made artwork about my experience of going through, I battled cancer as I was younger, and now I'm here as a 29-year-old, and I was still going through that, even years later. I think we don't talk enough about the fact that even though we're getting a lot further, childhood cancer awareness is still really underfunded. It's still thought of as rare. A lot of the treatments still cause effects later in life. And I did a show actually during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I raised around $1,000 for the Littlest Heroes, which was an incredible organization. Actually, when I was younger, I did artwork for them for their competitions, and I won a couple times. I won a couple trips to Disney World and things. So that's where it's kind of like I want to give back, and like I love doing that. And I love teaching my students in the continuing education department. I love teaching them art and stuff, so I think that's where I really want to give back. And I think, like Big Al was saying, I think it is kind of a scary thing that not only have I been battling cancer my whole life, but it's kind of been a scary thing now to go back and teach. And it's like, I want to give back. And, it's kind of scary that now I've battled cancer. I have other worries out in the world, but.
But you are a survivor.
Emma is a warrior, and don't mess with her. She stared cancer down and blinking, and she's tough as nails. She got herself through this. She never asked for sympathy from anyone, and she got not only herself but her family through this. And it's another example of how sometimes the kids can get the whole family through an ordeal like that.
I wanted to say, and now you know the rest of the story, but your story's still being written. You're going to be doing great things. I can't wait to check back in. I want to say that when I first met Dr. Cohen, I was a reporter here in Cleveland, and I met this is a picture of my now friend, Treasure Byrge, who, this is just right before I met her. Look at how cute. And the reason I met her, unfortunately, is because she was playing on a playground and had to be life flighted. This is the scan she shared with us, which is what her mom will tell you. I mean, just you're never prepared for that. So when I met Treasure, here she is. This was like hours after she woke up, I think, and it wasn't even she was beating all the odds from the very beginning after Dr. Cohen swooped in, like I said, last minute. Here she is with some staples. But these kids have a whole new lease on life. Their parents, it's hope. It's about hope, you guys. It's about hope. And they grow up and they go on to do great things. As a matter of fact, who could this be? Oh, Treasure Byrge.
Hello.
Wow, that's a surprise. Long time. Treasure was also a lead singer and lead dancer on Elvis Day, and we'll take credit for that.
Yeah, I saw actually in some of the pictures of Emma, I spotted myself in the background, which I've never even seen those pictures. So that was fun.
I'm going to pull them up again while you tell us what
Dr.
Cohen is for you.
In the back.
There you go. Tell us what Dr. Cohen is for you, Treasure.
I mean, the whole team over at Rainbow is really, helped me to create and live the life that I have today, right? Of course, me, like many other kids, fell ill and had some very scary life endangering situations, right? And so I had, very similarly to Emma, had a large brain tumor. that needed to emergency situation be removed. And, it's a situation that's typically very scary and everything. I very much so mimic your feelings, Emma, where I don't think of my time at Rainbow ever as something bad or negative, or it was great. It was fun, which sounds weird to say, but I'm glad that you kind of went first, because I feel exactly the same way. The team, Big Al, Dr. Gold, we had a lot of the same doctors, really made it an environment of fun and healing. And I looked forward to going to the hospital.
All right, listen, Dawn, here's the deal. This was not supposed to be about me. It was supposed to be about the kids. This is a great surprise to see Treasure, who's got a remarkable name and actually had the same operation that Emma did.
Yeah.
But you can't spring stuff like this on me.
And she is a treasure. And this is not about you, Dr. Cohen. It's about these warriors, these kids that rise up, but it starts with the talent, the gift that you have as a talented brain surgeon, and for their souls and their hearts as well, and their parents, and you give hope. So, right, this is not about you. Let's be very clear. You made that very clear. Everyone says you're super humble. I second that. But we're celebrating Treasure because now look what she has gone on to do. Let me just pull these pictures up. Tell us now, Treasure, what you have done. I'll pull up these pictures. First of all, let's just show one more time. Here you are. This is little Treasure post-surgery. Here she is bedside with Dr. Cohen. Look, I love this picture. Does she not look like sunshine personified there? Her hair's starting to grow back there, Treasure. So tell us now, Treasure, what you're doing now. I mean, she's killing it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very fortunate to go on and live a very great life. I, of course, graduated from high school. I went on to college, and I was the first person. That was my high school graduation there. I went on to be a first-generation college student, which there we are. That's my graduation from college. I received my degree in psychology, pre-physical therapy. I was inspired very much so by my journey with cancer and all my experiences at Rainbow to get into healthcare, and kind of explored some of my interests there. I went on during college to, again, I was majoring in psychology. And so after taking my first my cognitive neuropsychology class in college, I was hooked, right? So the study of the brain became very intriguing to me, and especially considering my own experience with brain cancer really amplified my interest tenfold. I continued to take a ton of anatomy and physiology courses, different neuroscience courses. I eventually worked in a neuroscience laboratory at Case Western Reserve, which was a really full circle moment for me because it was right next door to Rainbow. And because they have such a close relationship, Case and Rainbow, the same exact MRI machines where I had been receiving imaging for the last decade, now I was conducting research and assisting patients and preparing them for imaging in those exact same MRI machines. So it was, where I was once a brain cancer patient, now I was serving as a research assistant and helping to discover and build a knowledge base on the human brain, which was really a great moment for me. And so when it came down to kind of identifying what I wanted to do after college, I found that there was a common thread among all of my interests, right? So that common thread was really like increasing access to healthcare for people, reducing suffering, and improving the quality of life for communities. And so I got the opportunity to do an internship at a local health department where I kind of discovered the world of public health, which was the perfect kind of culmination of my varied interests and experiences and passions. And so I kind of took a leap of faith, and I applied to a fellowship at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, during my senior year of college. And I was fortunate enough to be selected for the fellowship. And so I started working for CDC in October of 2019. I was assigned to work at a state, tribal, local, territorial health agency, kind of a health department with a focus on epidemiology. And this assignment required me to be relocated to Florida, and I was there for 2 years, especially during the thick of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I studied kind of the different determinants of health and, things that impacted communities to impact their health outcomes. And so after my 2-year assignment in Florida, I was promoted to a career position at CDC, and I've been with CDC ever since. So now I live in Atlanta, Georgia, to be closer to the CDC headquarters. And after, 3.5 years now at the CDC, I'm still in disbelief that I get to do such amazing, fulfilling work in my career. And in the fall, Yes, in the fall, I'm going to
We're
start.
having the same thought. Yeah.
I'm going to start my MPH program. So I'm going to start a master's of public health degree over at Georgia State University. So, and I've gotten the opportunity to travel the world and just do really amazing things. And all of that is truly because of the team at Rainbow for saving my life back in 2006.
And again, Emma and Treasure, clearly overachievers. I see the smile on Dr. Cohen listening to you say all of this stuff.
Yeah.
This moment made possible by talented surgeons, and one particular, Big Al, who has made the journey so much easier. Now you're even a new homeowner. Look at this.
Yes. Yes,
and you're
I
a
bought my
world
first
traveler.
home. Yes.
I mean, look at
No,
this.
I'll say one thing, and that is that
Mm-hmm.
it's a remarkable thing in pediatric neurosurgery. What we do, you become a member of the family,
Yeah.
and you can see these two young warriors and what they've been through. And just to remark again that it's an honor to be part of the team that cared for them. And I'm very privileged to be able to be part of their lives and see what they've been able to accomplish. But they're the warriors. These two are the heroes.
I feel like obviously we could talk all day here, but let's just make sure. Big Al saved my life. This is what Treasure said. Influenced my career path, motivated me to make a positive impact on the world. Treasure Byrge. All right. As often is the case, sometimes, Doc, for the Good Stuff family, we say God weaves. Now watch him work. Together we can, together we will. I've met so many people, of course, being a reporter here, but the odds that I knew Treasure and her mama already and have become friends with them, right? And then when we start talking to you, you mentioned Emma. Now, Emma, I feel like I've known Emma forever. And there is another guy who is incredibly important to me. I just want to show you a picture here really quick. Let's see if you can identify this person, Doc, quickly. One moment, please. So he is, let's show you this little video. I think we have it in here. The suspense is killing you, I know. All right, let's just see this. Okay, let's see. Producer Travi, I think, put it in, but maybe not. Okay, let's go. This was then, hold on. This was then. And this is now. Trent Bertolette, ladies and gentlemen.
That's another great story. What is this, a reality TV show you got me on now?
It's
Trent, it's been a long time.
Hey.
Like, Doc, I'm serious. I'm friends with these people. I love them like my own family. And they all mentioned that they all owe so much to you and that they love you like family. So, and there's Jackie, his mama. I mean, go ahead and tell us Trent's story. I'm going to try hard to get Treasure's mama, Carol, up here because I know how grateful she is too. So I'm going to remove myself. Jackie and Trent, tell us a little bit of your story and what Big Al means to you.
Do you remember any of it? Not really.
I can tell you what, I met Trent when he was 2.5 months old. And that's why it's a little bit different for me to see him now. But it's a remarkable story. And I had no idea that these guys were going to be there. But as I said, you sort of become a member of the family in my field. He went to the pediatrician to see Diane Lester for a routine visit. And his head was just a little bit bigger than normal. And Diane, remarkable as she was, got a CT scan and found a huge mass involving the entire right hemisphere of his brain. It looked like a highly malignant brain tumor. And by the next day, we had to operate to take it out. We put him to sleep and we opened up. And instead of finding a malignant brain tumor, Mom remembers this because first thing I told them in the recovery room was that there was a god-awful smell when they opened up his head. And I thought that was good news because it wasn't a tumor. It was a brain abscess. It was a multilobulated Citrobacter brain abscess, very rare. And it's perhaps the only time it's good news to tell someone they have a brain abscess, but it was not a malignant tumor. Mm-hmm. And he had a course of long-term antibiotics. Again, a whole big team caring for him. And this was a tumor that involved the entire hemisphere, the right hemisphere of his brain. And I look at him now. I have not seen him in years, but how many years ago was that, Trent?
I believe 15.
15 years. That's a long
So-
time.
Here's the thing, you all. Again, Dr. Cohen had no idea who we were going to pull up and tell me that he sounds like a parent rattling off statistics about these patients of his. Does he not? Who remembers that? I'll tell you who, a doctor who cares for a person and gives families hope, right? Jackie, I know you're a big fan.
Yes, absolutely.
And his mom, you see here, is a famous couture artist in the area here, nationally known, with her own publication.
Sounds like your family. Yeah. Okay. So I can bring in Carol now. One moment. This is Treasure's proud mama, who I love so very much. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Remember Carol Byrge?
Hello. Nice to see you.
Treasure's mama.
You-
And I know
Hey, you still look really great, Big Al. You look the same.
All vitamins.
Look, so here, Jackie, do you remember this time? Look how tiny he was there.
That was Trent was in that video as well. Yes, we remember.
Tiny.
That's
And
extreme.
here, this is when you just so much hung in the balance.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And I love this
We
one.
did for 5 weeks at that point. And yeah, Dr. Cohen was amazing. The whole team. I mean, there were so many doctors and so many nurses, even all the way down to even like the custodial services. I mean, everybody bent over backwards. It like the kids said, it as horrible as it was the best place in the universe. So
Amen. And, with the whole right hemisphere, there could have been a ton of things lost. He rallied and warriored right through therapy, graduated on time within his IED, right?
well, he hasn't graduated high school. He's graduated middle school. He's
Oh,
in
middle
high
school.
now.
Got it. IEP, sorry. That's what it stands for, right? IEP, sorry.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
on IEP.
So, Trent, what do you want to say to Dr. Cohen?
Nice to see you.
And I'm just thinking the fact that you're able to say 15 years later, nice to see
Right.
you. Wow. It fills my heart. And then God weaves. Now watch him work. If you don't believe me, let me just pull up this kid. Does this kid look familiar? This is also a family friend of mine now. And so let's bring in Ty Longhorn's mama. Here we go. Wait, one moment. I got you, Kel. There you go.
He's time
How about
limited.
that?
Good. Hi. I'm
What are
not.
the odds?
It's big odds. But we're not as big as a family because we were living in Michigan, and so we came to that hospital from Cedar Point on a life flight, and was introduced to Dr. Cohen, who, did great stuff. Tyler.
Yeah, he was on the Raptor roller coaster and had an aneurysm.
Yes, he had an
Right, Kel?
AVM. Excuse me. He had an AVM rupture that he
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
it was 14 years ago.
Well, spoiler alert, he, as everyone else, has gone on. Look at this. Mama, how does that make you feel, Kel?
That makes me feel great because we went through speech therapy and physical therapy to get him talking and walking and doing all that stuff again. And he graduated on time with his class that he started with because it happened when he was 15. And by 18, he was walking, getting his diploma. And then this picture is him now. He's a big superhero fan.
So again, you guys, my heart is so full when you realize how God weaves. And Kelly, I know it's for you, it's been quite a faith journey for sure, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Dawn Kendrick, I need to say something here because there must have been some problem with the wires when you told me that this was not going to be about me. Remember, this was to be about my kids. And I think we're going to have a little conversation about that afterwards. But it's great to see this group again together. It's remarkable what these guys have been through, and to see people so many years later and having gone through so much in the past. It's great to have been a part of it. But Dawn, you and I are going to have to talk later.
Au contraire, especially since you're in the other room, I'm going to have to book out here quickly. Set up in. No, this is about cancer warriors. But I'm sorry, Mr. Humble, talented, fantastic, like world-renowned brain surgeon. All of these warriors have you to thank. That's just a fact. I'm just saying. But these are stories about my warrior friends. Okay, Doc? We could agree on that?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said these are stories of my warrior friends who I love like family now. So I'm grateful for you as well. So it's as much a celebration of all of them and family. They feel like family. I can tell you feel like family. In fact, we're Good Stuff family. And this was just taken about 4 years ago at the Good Stuff family reunion, Treasure and her mama and I. And that's what we say. God weaves. Now watch them work. We're also big on people who are willing to see the good and be the good. And I think we are all in agreement that not only you, Dr. Cohen, are able to see the good, and you're still saving lives. You see the good in these patients, and then you are the good for them. So we celebrate you today. We celebrate every single warrior up here. I love you all. And the thing is, the story's not over. This is just a beginning. The chapters are being written, and we're just so grateful. So thank you all. I love you all, and God bless you. This has been a Grassroots Good Stuff family production. Big love and gratitude to our friend Carlos Jones, who is the talented voice and creator behind this music that sets the tone for these Good Stuff stories. Huge gratitude and love as well for our social media director. She is Danielle Folk and is consistently going above and beyond. Follow her at Farmhouse Storyteller. And to the producer, My Travi, the glue that holds together the moving parts of this God-inspired endeavor. TheGoodStuffFamily.com is where you'll find links for all the things we're doing, including how to be a sponsor of a story. So grateful for our faithful sponsors who have already made so much of what we do possible. And of course, big love and gratitude for you, the listeners, helping to grow this Good Stuff family tree 2023. Welcome to the family.